Hi there, Andy Adams here with Video Wednesday. So on Monday, I made a post about autoimmune disease and adding immune boosting supplements and why I thought that would not be a good idea. So I just want to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to talk about autoimmune disease in general. So when we have an autoimmune disease, and the body, our immune system, attacks its own cells, the immune system is already in overdrive. If you then add supplements that are immune boosting, we are now putting it in hyperdrive. I guess that's the best example how I can explain this. So that is why I recommend to be very, very, very careful with adding immune boosting supplements. As a matter of fact, I tell my clients to never, ever add them because we want to calm down the immune response. We want to modulate that. So definitely that's a big no-no in my book. So let's talk a little bit about autoimmune disease in general. So autoimmune diseases occur when the immune system, which typically defends our body against foreign invaders such as bacteria and viruses, mistakenly now targets its own health tissues for foreign invaders and attacks and causes all kinds of disarray in our body. So why do we have autoimmune diseases? Well, there is a genetic susceptibility. There are some studies that show that they have identified specific markers which are susceptible and associated with several autoimmune diseases. And here's the thing, it depends on, some people have these markers but never get an autoimmune disease because they don't have the trigger. So there are environmental triggers that factor a significant role in triggering our autoimmune responses, the ones that are genetically predisposed. It may be an infection or certain toxins, hormonal changes, or dietary factors. So research is really working very hard on this and trying to uncover specific environmental triggers for different autoimmune diseases. And of course, autoimmune disease involves a range of immune responses, such as the production of autoantibodies that target the body's own tissue and the activation of the immune cells like the T cells. So understanding these immune responses is critical for developing the right therapy for you, so to speak. I think everybody is different, and even if it's a genetic predisposition, I think there is a root cause. And once we find that root cause and we cut this off, I think you should improve. That's what worked for me. I know several of my clients it worked for as well. So how does chronic inflammation play into this? Chronic inflammation is actually a hallmark of many of the autoimmune diseases. Scientific studies have shown that there's complex pathways and molecules involved in the inflammatory response, which then contribute to tissue damage and disease progression. I often ask myself, what comes first, the chronic inflammation and then the autoimmune disease, or are some of us having autoimmune disease and it causes chronic inflammation? So hopefully science will do the research and they'll find out for us. There are specific autoimmune diseases, and research has provided in-depth insight into these individual autoimmune diseases, such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, and Crohn's disease. So each of these diseases has their own pathway, their own pathophysiology, I think they call it, and clinical characteristics. So we are making diagnostic advances. Years ago, it was really very difficult to diagnose an autoimmune disease, but now we are having several blood tests that really are very helpful. So it is much sooner that we get diagnosed. But some people in the older days, I want to say, it took sometimes 5-6 years to diagnose them. So, and a lot of damage happened to the body in that time. So there are different treatment strategies. Scientific research does develop drug to like push down the immune response. Personally, I believe that we need to get to the root of the problem, and we need to eliminate the reason that we have this response. And it sometimes is like detective work to find out what is the problem with this particular person. But we usually can find out. My clients usually have, not usually, they always have to fill out a very in-depth questionnaire, which can lead me alone there onto discovery. But anyway, so there are now in medicine, they have precision medicines. And again, I'm not against this, but I really still always say we have to find the root, because if you're just taking a pill or a treatment and it downplays the immune system, but that little fire is still burning underneath, you haven't really gained that much. You still have that little flame, this little burn, this festering going on. And I'm wondering, we have a lot of people with autoimmune disease that, after a while have a second autoimmune disease and a third autoimmune disease. Now, sometimes that is due to the body mistaking certain, like in chronic inflammation, it's mistaking certain proteins, like the gluten protein and the dairy protein. They look very, very much alike to the immune system. So often when somebody has problems with gluten, it's not unusual that they have problems with dairy. And it's not that they really have problems with dairy, it's more the fact that the immune system is mistaking the protein from dairy, thinking it's the gluten protein. So anyway, just a little bit into that. So we need to realize that lifestyle factors play a lot into chronic inflammation and autoimmune disease. Diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep are the 4 big ones. So definitely something that gives you to think about, I would hope. And then, I've talked already about the coexistence of autoimmune diseases. Not to forget our microbiome. Your gut health has a lot to do with autoimmune disease, with chronic inflammation. And often we have to eliminate a lot of foods. That's why carnivore diets, and I'm not saying I'm for one particular diet, but carnivore diets are helping people with chronic inflammation, helping people with autoimmune diseases. But it's not the only thing. There has to be, and there is more that we need to do than just, change our diet. We need to make sure that we look at the environmental factors, that we look at toxins. You might have mold exposure. You might be exposed to something at work, or who knows, We need to find out what that is. So anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to, say that there is many targeted strategies now for autoimmune disease, and I am for all of them, but I believe we need to find the root cause. I have an autoimmune disease. I had chronic inflammation. I have mastered my inflammatory process by simply getting rid of what was the root cause. And sometimes I'm not as good, or I'm not as diligent to make sure that what is the cause of my problem, that it's not in my food. And then I can immediately tell that it's rearing its ugly head, so to speak. So I know autoimmune disease can be handled with with natural approaches. I'm not against medicine, I have to say that again. And of course, I don't want anybody to go against their doctor's wishes. But if you are tired of taking medication and you want to try a natural approach, I highly recommend finding somebody that is in the functional healing profession and goes to the root of the problem. And of course, I'm always available as well. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next week. Have a great day.